Do you think it is right that you are now paying more taxes than ever before? Do you know how many taxes there are in your country? Do you think it is right that you are allowed to keep the smallest amount from what you earn and the biggest share of your income gets shared out to others as benefits of the system? Does that sound good to you? Did you know that a fine is a tax for being bad and a tax is a fine for being good? Do you think it is right when you lose on both counts? In this world of ours, there are more and more taxes every year. There are taxes for anything and everything, which will bring more revenue in for the governments. Do you know how much of what you have earned goes to the taxman in total? And how much you are allowed to keep? Have you ever bothered to add it up? Or are you so depressed that you can do nothing about it and that you've not even tried? Or maybe dared? The average person, whatever average is, pays over 75% in combined taxation. This means that your taxman allows you to keep only 25% of what you have earned. It's unbelievable, isn't it? This is like being 1/4 free, and if you're lucky, you can manage to keep 1/4 of what you earn for yourself. Can you believe that you pay in total taxes 3 times as much as you keep, and you're the one doing all of the work? Where is there freedom here? It seems you either are free or you aren't. Why continue to act against your own self-interest over and over again? The answer is probably that you were never given the information we are about to impart to you. It was kept from you so that you did not know you could take any action to protect yourself or change things. The problems we have today are caused mainly by the concept of allowing banks to literally print money out of thin air. So how did we get to this? Well, banks in places like Hamburg and Amsterdam simply used to accept deposits of any value and issue receipts for those deposits, and then those notes could be traded. They made their money by charging a fee for this service and was an honest and well-respected trade. Simply put, these banks were performing the task of a deposit warehouse. Now in Scotland, a few clever men, one of them a Mr. Patterson, conceived the idea of printing money out of thin air. Now Mr. Patterson discovered that this system could also be sold to King William of England, and he, the King, was shown how it could fund his lavish lifestyle. Then of course, with the very same system, they could swindle the British people, and so a scam of monumental proportions was born and was later called fractional reserve banking. Well, before fractional reserve banking was instigated, banks simply could not multiply or just create gold. But of course, you can do that with paper, which has no value whatsoever. And so, over time, the word fractional was forgotten, but the scam remained, and they, the banks, just kept creating money to benefit themselves. The new elite, the royal palaces, and other royal houses, and they funded the governments too. These scam artists convinced the king that they should call themselves the Bank of England and print money out of thin air. The king and the government were paid off with shares, and the deal was done, heralding the birth of the modern banking system. And it is this that is the root cause of many of the world's financial problems coming back to haunt us again and again. Incidentally, shortly after the creation of the Bank of England, Mr. Patterson moved back to Scotland to create the Bank of Scotland, where he repeated the process all over again. During this period, he set up what was known as the Darien scheme, a plan to colonise an area of Panama for trade route control. This get-rich-quick scheme failed and bankrupted the Scottish Parliament. Now Westminster seized the opportunity to bail out the destitute Scots, and by 1707 the grateful Scottish Parliament had been sold, and the Scottish people sold out in the thinnest disguised merger of equals in the history of takeovers, otherwise known as the Union of the Parliaments, all thanks to William Paterson, the creator of the Bank of England. Anyway, back to London. Soon after the creation of the Bank of England, and being a friend of King William, a Mr. Amschel Bauer, who later called himself Rothschild, took over the Bank of England, and to this day, despite what you may have heard, the House of Rothschild still owns it, and of course this monumental scam of printing money out of thin air continues as well. Now remember this, King William had to borrow their fake paper money and had to pay it back at 8% interest. Compound interest. What a fantastic deal for the bank. Now when the Bank of England was formed, the bank's charter included the following words, which proves what happened. The bank hath benefit on all interest on all monies which it creates out of nothing. How many of us would like permission to do that? Create money out of nothing and then charge interest on it? We would all be billionaires, but unfortunately we would be imprisoned for fraud. Do you see the enormous conflict here and how totally unfair and immoral this is? But the scam doesn't stop there. Rothschild and the brothers Rothschild, or the House of Rothschild, created the City of London, or simply the City, and called it the Crown. This crown, however, is not the Queen or the monarch, but another crown which is made up of a committee of 12 banks headed by the Bank of England, owned by the House of Rothschilds. This crown, or the City, is not a part of England. It is an independent sovereign state. From the 677-acre city, they rule the world. And I'm sure you've heard the phrase, the wealthiest square mile on the planet. And that's for good reason. Now this City of London is presided over by a Lord Mayor who is appointed annually. Even the Queen of England has no power here, and this is illustrated when she wants to do business within the city. She is met by the Lord Mayor at Temple Bar, the gateway to the city, where she has to request permission to enter this private sovereign state. Only when she is granted access can she enter, and she has to walk several paces behind the Lord Mayor. But it doesn't stop with England. Mr. Rothschild's got all his friends in on the scam as well. Friends like the Seif brothers in Italy, the Warburgs in Amsterdam and Hamburg, the Schroders, the Kuhns, the Lehmans and the Lazar brothers in Paris, plus many more. The most shocking part of this is simply this, and it will astound you. You think your country prints its own money, but not so. What happened? Well, the king gave the printing machines to a bunch of scam artists and then borrowed their fake money and had to then pay them back at 8% compound interest. 8%